Hello, party people. Today we're going to be making this wonderful 7x7 piston door that I slightly redid, so there's less hops on the bottom, and I can actually do tutorial for it. Wonderful, I would say. Well, I don't know. It's still a lot of observer spam, as you can see. Just gonna show ya. Anyways, that's not our problem. What matters is this bad boy is pretty stinking fast. Sorry, my game just lagged there. It's faster than that. But, you can get the gist. And all this, and it's only 1540 blocks. So, not that bad considering the layout I used. It's got a dual RSV tape, so that's also pretty cash money. Anyways, I'm gonna show you how to build this bad boy today. So let's just get the fuck into it, I guess. All right, so your door frame, go to your middle block, and so two from the front, four from the back, and then you get the gist. And then build up 6 blocks like that, and break the 5 blocks below it, and then three to either side, and then just finish the frame. So you should have something like this, obviously, because it's 7x7, and that's what 7x7s do. So for the layout, we are going to get a quad at the bottom here, and then some storage. So you're going to have a storage row like that, and then you're going to build it out like that, and then have storage row here, and a storage row here. And this build does use target blocks if that wasn't already obvious. So bear that in mind. Uh, it also uses copper bulbs, so that is also a thing. At the top, you're going to build down like this, and unfortunately, it is not a triple. It's a folded quint, which is arguably better. So then build pistons like that, and then you should have something like that. Then you're going to have your redstone blocks under here and a storage row in there, and I'll get more into how that functions in a bit, but it's pretty useful. It basically gives us a storage row for free. So that side should look like that, and then you just have an extra storage row back here, which is also going to be pretty useful. Anyways, that is what your layout should look like. Then for the inputs, we're going to get some note blocks and just have that there. Dust on top of all of those. And then you want to get some obsidian, put that all on top of there, and then get stuff to block that off. And then we're going to get an input over here. And I believe at least one of these has to be a slab. Yeah. So this block needs to be a slab. And this is just the block up. Actually, does that even have to be a slab? No, no it doesn't. But it's cheaper anyway, so I'm going to keep it like that. So anyways, place redstone like that, and then you're going to get a 4 tick repeater, 1 tick repeater. Oh wait, you don't want dust there. So you just want dust like that. Actually, that's the right order. Okay, now it's a 1 tick, then a 4 tick. I doubt it matters, but, just to be safe. And then you want a line there, dust there, and then you want a 2 tick there, and then you want a 2 tick there. Now you want a line there, a line here, and then just go ahead and block that off. Then you want a line there, and then we're gonna place some updaters. So you want an updater here. Actually, wait. Okay, you want an updater here, and then just an updater anywhere in here. And then you can't remember where this updater is. Okay, you want an updater in here, and I did test this. It's not locational at all, so don't worry about that. Um, Anyways, that should be the top inputs. Now I just need a set of input links, which will be used a lot. So then we put that there, and then we get a repeater here and a block, and I think we need a slab. Then dust there. So that will be used like a fuckload to push down the redstone blocks and power some of the parts of the extension. Anyways, I think that's everything. We just need these rails, and we also need to get another updater over here, which will also control the sides. So I'm just gonna wire those up real quick. So you're gonna have a torch there, and then sides are part of the top closing circuit. I just did that because most of them are wired from the top. And then you can just finish building these side pistons while you're here. So, and then you're gonna get a piston here, redstone block, an updater there. Doesn't really matter what it is. Then you're gonna get a slab, and then dust all on top of there. Let's not fall into the void. That would be great. So that should control your side. So when this is pushed in on the when this is pushed in on the closing from powering the like fucking the quint, then this will push in automatically, which does mean it will flicker every time the RSP fires. So that's pretty cringe, but you know, it is what it is. Also, there is one more thing I forgot. You're gonna have a block there, blocks there, and then dust there, and that might need to be a slab. Nope, it's not a slab. Okay, anyways, now for the bottom inputs, you're gonna get target blocks along there, target blocks all along there, and then you're gonna get input there, then just dust all on top of these, and then you're gonna get I can't remember exactly what it is. Okay, you're gonna get a piston here, and then you can probably just break some of these pistons temporarily, then put stuff up like that, then a piston there, and then you're gonna get uh, some more wool and put it right here and up here, and then it's just all one tick repeaters, no like two ticks or anything, because I use a different set of input links than most people do. Anyways, uh, you're gonna get a wool there and an updater, and then you're gonna get a 3 tick, an observer, and then you're gonna get a 4 tick, an observer, and a piece of dust, and then you're gonna get uh, an observer, a piston, an observer, a block, a hopper, and another observer, and then you're gonna get dust there, and how does it go? Okay, you're gonna get a 2 tick, 1 tick, and an observer and a block, I believe. Nope, it's a dust. Cool. Glad I caught that. And this also needs to be a slab. So that should be all of your inputs done. So this will control like the, oh wait, fuck. We need the tape too. So I'm just gonna put in these tape pistons really quick because I'm smart and I don't forget. That's always cool. And then we want pistons up here with another RSB there. And then you can like fill these in later if you want when we do the tape. It doesn't really matter. Anyways, that should be everything for now.
All right, fellas, I'm back from my temporary break. I had to do the dishes. Uh, anyways, now it's time for the fucking smallest ass circuit of the door, the top closing. So let's do the top closing. This also includes the other side, so that's pretty fucking hot. Frickin' hot, I mean. Sorry. Uh, anyways, so that's gonna push in your first side block, and then you're gonna get some dust down here. Wait, fuck. Okay, you want a dust right there. Torch on it. One tick repeater, block torch, uh, block there, and then get yourself a piston, and then just fucking stick a monostable in that bad boy. Uh, then we need to, fucking hell. Okay. So I forgot an input link. I almost thought I got it all for once, but I never remember everything in tutorials. Anyways, you're gonna want to get a 2-tick down here. That might have to be a slab. It does have to be a slab. So 2-tick here. Just gonna make this red too, cause why the fuck not? Then a 1-tick there. So that'll basically push in your redstone blocks to power your extension. And then we just stick a 4-tick right there. And then you may see that if we stick a lever here, which is still our input block, it will do that, but it doesn't quite go down because this needs an update. And then it'll work just fine. It'll even retract by itself without an update. So the way we get that update is by just, okay. Oh, I gotta fucking plot kick everybody. Okay, back to what we were doing. Anyways, to get that update, we have an observer here, and then a block here, stick a door block here, and then two-tick repeaters. And then to get to the, well, first I'll show you just what we have now. So that'll do that. And you may be wondering, this doesn't power anything. So if you have a, I'll kind of explain it the best way I know how. So say you have a piston here and a repeater here. Uh, wait, fuck, okay. So when there's a repeater here, this block needs to be checked to see if there's a repeater locking it. So it'll update it. So if you didn't know that, now you do. But yeah, that's how that works. Then to get the fucking the double extender at the beginning, it's so hard. Let me tell you. That's it. Just an observer facing out of this, and then 2 more observers, and then as you can see, it is done just like that. Swag money tastic. Uh, now we can start with the Quint extension. So I'm just gonna go memorize that real quick. Okay, so for the start of the extension, we're gonna chuck my dust there first. Then we basically just make a toggle to switch between whether it starts the quint or doesn't start the quint. So on the closing, I won't start the quint, and then on the opening, it will. So although it does fire the storage on every end, but it doesn't matter because it's already powered. So swag money tastic. And then we just have a piston there, an observer there, and then we get a slab. I don't know why I never have slabs on me. It's kind of strange. Then we get a repeater, and then a piston. So now what this will do is it'll push in, and then it'll retract, and that'll pull back. And then now the next move we need is a one tick to this line. Although I don't think it has to be one tick. It just has to be less than a four tick, if I remember correctly. So the way I got that, and credit to Wolfie Namira for inspiration for this, I just got a dropper hopper, and you can just chuck any old item in there. If you want, it can be your enchanted diamond sword, or not, if you're a fucking casual. And then make sure that still sets 2 ticks. Uh, Also, it goes out here. And then get a comparator, and then a 2 tick, and then a piece of dust. So then what that'll do is it'll do the closing, and then it'll push down and then retract that all up. So that's pretty neat. Which brings us on to the next circuit, the redstone block double extender, which is pretty freaking small. Um, so to do that, what I did was you just also I'm chewing gum. That's why it might sound like I'm like having a stroke or something. Anyways, observer there, and then a 4 tick, and then you're gonna just chuck a redstone lamp here, and then get a observer there. Then you can get out your pink wool, which is the RSB DPE, and then you're gonna get a copper bulb, and then just comparator out of that. So that'll keep it powered long enough. So if we just check that out, so then all this line needs is a one tick. It does need to be a repeater, I believe, because it's a little input bugged. Uh, so to get that falling edge, we just take a comparator out of here, and then piston there, and then a block there. So now if we power this, it'll do the whole redstone block double extender. So now to power this from the quint extension, because it powers after every quint extension, you have an observer coming out from here, an observer going out like that, and then a hopper and an observer. It doesn't matter if that triggers because it'll retract everything on its own. So that's pretty neat. Um, so now what it'll do is it'll do the full extension, like down, as you can see. But we basically need to refire this circuit again. So, and that'll do part of our retraction. So I'll show you just what happens. So it'll retract it up to that point. So to get that refire, we fuck. I can't remember how to get the refire because I'm a little slow. Okay, so we take an observer coming out from here, and then we have a piston there, observer there, and then a piston there, an observer there, and then we are on the orange wool still. So then you're gonna get Wait, do these have to be slabs? They do not have to be slabs. So you're gonna get two 4-tick repeaters, and then you're just gonna get a observer with a block, and then a uh, and then a note block. So that'll do the refire. And if you want to silence this, you can just place anything on it. Glass, I don't really care, but yeah. So now what it'll do is it'll do this. Nice and fast. And now I get to make the nice and fast retraction circuit. Fun, fun. So basically, we need a toggle, so it's basically the opposite of the quintextension. So on the second fire, it'll start the retraction. Uh, so you're going to have an observer going out like that, then another observer, and then a piston there, and then go 2 blocks down, an observer there. Oh wait, nope, you want an observer facing this way. And then it's time for green, which is the retraction circuit. Fun, fun. Um, so the first pulse we need is we need to pulse this RSB again to like, so I'll kind of explain it from where we leave off. So the first pulse we need is a is a 3-tick to this line. It can't be a 2-tick because we don't want these pistons to spit out. So we 3-tick it, it'll 1-tick that line. And then basically what we do is we kind of like use a circuit like this while it's kind of retracting. And I'll kind of do this just to so it'll basically do this, but this will update. But you kind of get the idea. Uh, you're gonna have a block there and a block here. So that'll do that pulse. And then to get the pulse where we do the two like piston pulses, we come out here with a 1-tick. And then which way does this piston face? Okay. You're gonna have a piston facing down, and then observer, 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 break this block, observer, and then a 4-tick. So that should take care of like 90% of your attraction. We just need to fire the RSB again to 1-tick pistons. And then we need to 1-tick the top line again. So to fire the RSB line again, I oh fucking hell. If I can remember it, maybe. Okay, you come out from here, and then there, and then I think that's a 2-tick. It might be a 3-tick, but I don't really fucking know. I don't have good memory. It is a 2-tick. I'm so smart. Um, and then you're gonna have an observer facing out from this repeater, and fuck, where is that observer? Okay, and then have a block there. Does that have to be a slab? Probably not, but just to be safe, I'm gonna make it a slab. You're gonna have a repeater there, and then a dust repeater, and then an observer. So if I'm not mistaken, that should be your whole retraction. So let's just test it real quick. Oop. Looks like I fricked something up. Uh, hmm. I wonder. Alright, I'm gonna figure out what the problem is. Okay, I believe I've figured out the issue. You need an updater for the updater. How fun. So, you can just chuck that back there, and then put that in there, and then that should fix the issue. I'm just gonna replace everything I had, because I kind of broke shit, so, yeah, you get the gist. Uh, this there, boom, boom, then get slab, rep, dust, and now it should do its fucking job and do retraction thingies. Oh my fucking hell. Okay, I think I figured out the issue. It was just doing funky shit, and I guess it requires the extension happening before it work. So make sure, um, I did make a few updater changes just to test stuff out. So make sure it should still all be the same on yours. Just make sure there's no dust on this. There was that before, I believe. Updater there, and then updater on this side too. Updater above this block, and then updater above this block. Updater right there. So yeah, uh, then you just buh, 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 go down here and place your two tick, and then that should be everything for the retraction bit. Well, everything that we were struggling with, and then make sure to add this back. So now if we test it, it should hopefully work, and I won't have to redo this 12 times. So yeah, that did work. And now I get to do the next circuit, which is the extra moves. So that's not super terribly hard. It's basically just a shitload of toggles. So to get the extra moves, first we need to actually wire said moves. So come down here to the piston level, place two blocks like that, and then you're gonna get a slab, and then you want two ticks, and then you're gonna get uh, a observer there, dust there, and then a redirector here. Doesn't really matter what the fuck it is. So that'll do the moves where it pulls it up and then pushes it over, and then we just have to start the quint after that. So to do that, we are gonna get a note block and put that up here. Three things on there. So I don't know why the fuck I did that. Probably placed stuff too fast. Um, anyways, then you want to place a observer there, then hopper observer block, which is lime because it's the extra moves, and then another observer and a piston. So that should do that. And then to activate this, we come over here, place an observer, and then have an observer there, and then have another piston there, and an observer here. Wait, okay. Okay, yeah. So then you want to place um, basically just a bunch of 2 ticks, and then you're going to come over here, and then have observer, 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 and then another 2 tick right here, and then you're gonna have a block, an observer there, and a piston and a block. I mean, not an observer there. So that'll toggle on first fire, but not on the second. So that should be basically your entire top done. We just need to wire the tape control real quick, which is nothing crazy. So observer there, block, and then you're gonna get some hoppers, hopper, observer. So that'll do your tape when we actually wire said tape. So now should be able to test the top and it should work just fine. Make sure to put those blocks layer up when those pull up. So that should pull up and push over, and the next point should go. And it looks like our top works just fine. So that's wonderful. Um, Now we're gonna wire some of the pistons on the side, and then we have to basically finish the input circuit to get dual edge for the bottom. So to do that, we're just gonna place a piston there, block there, and then have some dust. Wait, and then have some dust here, and then you're gonna get a piston and a observer there. So that'll do most of your pistons on the side, and then the hopper timer on the other side will do the rest. So to do that, we're just going to place a piston there, redstone block there, 2 hoppers facing into each other, if I can place them right. And then underneath this, you're going to place an observer and then a comparator. Then in this hopper, there is 9 items. Doesn't matter what they are. So that should be good. So that should power your whole sides. And it looks like I accidentally triggered this, so I'm just going to put this back. Anyways, so to get the pulse to the bottom, we're going to place 2 observers like that, block there, hopper, observer, then another note block, observer, observer, observer. So that should be the end of your input circuit. Now it's time to wire the bottom closing, which I gotta go memorize. Okay, so, whoops. Okay, so to get the bottom closing, first you're gonna get your yellow wool, because that's the color of this circuit, and then you're gonna place blocks like that. Wait, hold on. Okay, it's up here. So you're gonna place blocks like that, and then this actually needs to be a slab. So essentially what this will do is it will push the block, so I'll just trigger it twice. Oh shit, okay. One minor mistake I forgot to mention. Uh, Make sure this input is filled with movable blocks, or it will do this.
as I've shown. It doesn't matter really what they are, but, you know, I'm just gonna use obsidian for the sake of this. It could be fucking hot furnaces, probably, most likely. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to. But yeah, that's that fixed. Anyways, so if we trigger this twice, it'll push that over. Then we trigger a double extender, which is just, you know, I'm sure you've seen this double extender before. I mean, if you're building this and you haven't seen this, then, maybe you're a little underqualified here, bucko. So, then that'll push up. Oh my fucking god, I can't do this. So then you push that in, and then we give this another pulse, and then we push this in, and then link to the falling edge. We would push this in, but obviously this isn't the falling edge. But that would be what would push in the tape blocks. So to get the two pulses to this that we need, we are going to temporarily get rid of this dust and have observers going like this, and then a 2-tick right there. And then we need the pulse for the double, so we're just going to have piston with an observer there. I'm pretty sure it is. And then you're going to have a block there with dust, two ticks, and then an observer. So that should do like 90% of your close. You can also test it on opening if you want to. I'm not your parent. You can do whatever the heck you want, man. Uh, so that should do that. And then we need two more pulses, which is where the majority of the observer spam is. So we're not going to talk about that. Anyways, assuming I'm doing this right, you're going to put a 2-tick here, a block here, and you're going to have some observers down here. Get ready to place some fucking observers because you're going to be placing a lot. Then 4 observers like that, and then block here, block there to cut this dust off. Then you want a 3-tick here, and we're gonna replace this with a slab. Okay, and then you want to have a 4-tick right here, and a sticky piston right here with an observer, and then you want a slab with dust. So that should push in the blocks if we just test it real quick. So yeah, that'll do that. And then we need to just push these up. So to do that, we are going to have more observer spam. How fun. So you're going to come down here to where this block is, place an observer, and then hopper. And let me just quickly memorize. So, okay. So 2 observers, then you want a note block, then 3 more observers. Then you're going to build 2 blocks up, then observer down here, and then a 1-tick. I think it is. It is a 1-tick. I'm so smart. And then a block here with a target block and a note block under it. So that should do your whole closing. And to push in the tape blocks, we just have a little circuit. I can't remember what these timings are on. Okay, 3 4 ticks, 4 4 ticks, 2 1 2 tick. Okay. So you're gonna come over here and place
four tick, four tick, four tick, block, four tick, and then another block. Okay. And then you're gonna place piston there and an observer there. And then this is gonna be part of the circuit later too. But you're just gonna place two more slabs, and then you want to just block this off with whatever wool color. I don't really care. So this should do is it should do your whole closing. Oh, I seem to have made a whoopsie daisy. Oh, yep. Make this block two tick. And then also I just realized it doesn't actually push in the tape blocks only on the falling edge. It does it on both edges because I slightly modified the bottom, and that was one of the side effects. So it's like four ticks slower in this one, but I needed to because otherwise I would not be remembering all that observer spam. Anyways, now if you open it, it will do that, and then it'll push in the blocks. Now we are going to build the tape. Fun, fun, fun. So we're going to start over here and then place blocks here just to save yourself accidentally starting the tape. So put a block there, then a target block, redstone dust. Oh fuck, don't put a target block there. Put a regular block there, because when the redstone block is next to it, it won't keep going and it'll stop the tape. So super fun, awesome. Then you want a redstone torch here. Just trigger that twice. I don't fucking know. Or just reset the blocks because it doesn't like working. Um, and then you're gonna place a block there with another torch, and then either a power rail or an activator rail, and then an observer block and a piece of dust. Now for the other side, we are going to get a wall. And where do I put this wall? Okay. You're going to have a block here with dust on it, then a wall, an observer. Huh. Okay. So just fix that. It should be fine still. It's probably just because I placed it after the fact. I don't know. Or no, it's because it detected the change. You get what I mean. Anyways, uh, place a note block here with dust on it, and then observer, observer. So that should be your tape done. Now we just need to wire the tape control, which will pull back the blocks basically and trigger the whole rest of the quad. So just have that there, and then you're gonna get a observer there and get your block there, and then you're gonna get a uh, observer there with a one tick. So that'll pull back the blocks. And then to do the first pulse of the quad track, which actually does like 90% of it, so that's pretty useful. We just have two observers here and a block there. So that'll do the majority of it. And we'll just finish it while we're down here. So to do that, we're going to place a shitload of observers. How fun. Uh, place an observer there, an observer there, an observer there, an observer there, an observer there. You're so fucking tired of hearing observer. I know. And then uh, I think these are all one ticks. Okay. Yeah, so uh, four one ticks
in here, and this last block has to be an observer. I do apologize for making you go into the fucking depths of hell to wire this door, but we are all making sacrifices. Everyone except me. Um, anyways, once you've done that, you can go. I don't even remember which door is a copy anymore. Okay, it's this one. Uh, I am computing slowly, so I think you, yeah, build out here, and then probably replace this 2-tick, put an observer under it, and then you're also going to replace this 2-tick and put an observer under it. So now that should be your quad attraction done. So now if we trigger the tape by just pulsing this piston, should do the whole retraction. Sweet. That should be the door done. I'm gonna test it first just to make sure I didn't like miss anything catastrophic that will emaciate your whole door from existence. So if you'd like to watch, then don't watch. If you'd like to save yourself the gruesome demise of a door that I so confidently failed at building, then you know, I don't know. So should do that on closing. That works fine. And then for opening, it'll do this. That'll push down, and then closing will start. Then that'll push up, and then the tape will start. Then the quad retraction will go, and then it'll just finish retracting. So sweet. There's your door. This is gonna take me like the whole fucking night to upload. So hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out.